Welcome to Doug's Front Porch. This is our first episode, and I'm so excited to be able to bring this podcast to everybody out there. And, it's a conversational format. As I said in our introductory advertisement or spiel or whatever we want to call it, growing up, we had two rocking chairs on my front porch, and it was a place that was welcoming and great conversation always happened. And that's the goal of this podcast, for me to sit down with people that I know and people maybe in the future that I don't know and just have quality conversation. And my first guest is one that I handpicked because I've known Dustin for a long time. And Dustin has also had the pleasure of actually sitting on those rocking chairs on my front porch.
It's true. Yes.
So welcome Dustin Shirk to Doug's Front Porch.
Thank you. And let me just say, your icon on this program is so dapper in your bow tie. You look absolutely handsome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So I have a couple questions. Let's talk a little bit.
Okay.
And Dustin has no idea what's coming at him, and that's
Not
I like it that way. So I'm going to start with this. Let's go to the beginning.
Mhm.
Growing up, you had a younger brother,
Mhm.
and from everything I know about you guys, you are really close. You're both close in age. I think there's a year that separates you guys.
A little bit over, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's about 16 months or something like that.
So, what was your relationship with your brother like when you were kids? Was it as close as it is today?
Oh God, no. We fought all the time. He was always faster than me because I was a pudgy little kid, and so like every time like he would upset me, I'd try to catch him and I could never catch him. And his go-to was he would run up the stairs to my parents' house and quick run inside my parents' bedroom and shut the door and lock it. And like that would make me so mad. And the one time he did it, and I almost caught him. And I was like, I got to the top of the steps. I was right there. He quick flew in there. I almost had him. The door shut, and I was so mad. I kicked the door, and the door jamb flew and broke across the room, and the door flung open. And the look on his face was priceless. Like, oh my God, like we're dead, And another time, I think this wasn't because I was mad at him or anything, but I definitely wasn't apologetic. I had this aluminum bat in my hand, and I was in the front yard, and he was on the other side of the yard. Not that I noticed, but I just said to myself, like, I wonder how far I can throw this baseball bat. And so, like, I rear back and I threw the baseball bat. It's like careening across the yard, and Kyle's on the other side of it, and I go, oh my God, it's going to hit him. And so it's in the air, and like I'm like, Kyle, look out! And he turns around and he sees the bat coming at him, but he wasn't moving. And I was like, oh my God, why isn't he moving? And right at the last second, he turned around and it just cracked him in the back of the head.
Oh, jeez.
And oh my God, and that was the first time I was really actually afraid of him. But the moment, I will never forget the moment that I realized he was more of a friend than I thought.
Yeah.
Was when he said, like, I forget what we were talking about. We were talking about like getting married someday, about our wedding. And this was when we were still in high school. Geez, I think we were like maybe juniors and seniors or something like that. And he said something like, I said I probably will have like Nate or Alex, which is, mutual friends of ours. For those of you in listening to this, that we also grew up together with. And he said, and I said, why? What about you? Thinking it was his friend too. And
Right.
He said, well, probably you. And I was like, oh, yeah, probably should do that. So that was when I realized that we were closer then. But no, we fought all the time. It was all the time.
Now that you guys have grown up, and have you found that bond to become even stronger now that you're both married, you both have kids, or how has the relationship changed since you were kids?
Kyle was he is the one who grounds me to, in a sense where when I was going through my divorce, Kyle was the only one I could talk to and feel better talking to afterwards. A lot of people tried to like fix things, and just like wanted to be friendly, blah 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 blah. Kyle was the best at just like, I felt so good after talking to him. And it could have been about anything. I mean, I could have been in the worst mood possible. It could have been about, just silly stuff that we would talk about on the phone and stuff. But Kyle was one of my rocks, and absolutely my best friend. And that guy, I don't know a better man on the planet than Kyle. So he's great. He's great dad, great husband. He's the man.
That's an awesome story. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people wish they had the kind of relationship with their siblings that I know you and your brother have. So you can really be. I'm glad that you have that.
We talk almost every day. Yeah, it's and it's not always like productive conversation. Like
No, that's okay.
We'll sit there sometimes, and I don't know. We'll laugh at the dumbest stuff on the way. Like on the way to work is when I usually call him, and it's like, at the time it was like a 25-minute drive, and I mean, like, I'm sometimes in tears laughing at the stupid. And there's just like no point to what we're talking about, but it's always fun. He's a good guy. So.
Awesome. So I want to also talk to you about the journey that you took to get to where you are now as a music teacher. Some of you, those of you listening that know Dustin and I from our childhood, that Dustin was musically active, played an instrument in school, throughout high school, was in the marching band and performed in our musical theater productions, etc. But didn't leave high school with a goal of becoming a music teacher.
No.
Talk to me a little bit about that journey, how you went from leaving high school to making this decision that I want to be a music teacher.
Sure. So, yeah, well, I mean, like, I was in chorus in high school, and it was easy to like sing. I don't know. I was always singing, and I joined chorus later on in high school, mostly because there were a lot of girls in chorus. And so I thought, well, this is where I want to be. And so, and I was in band since fourth grade. I played the trumpet, but literally I was so bad. If I didn't get my trumpet out of the case upside down, that was a good day. Oh, there was 14 trumpets or something like that in the band. I was the 16th chair. I mean, he stuck like I think a trombone and an oboe in front of me. I was so bad, and so I was not a good trumpet player at all. I knew music theory and stuff, but anyway, so when I like I think a lot of us at that point, whenever someone says like, well, you have to go to college, I think that was huge for our generation. Like, you have to go to college. And so it's just like, okay, like, I don't know what the heck I want to go for. But my mom went to Kutztown University. And so I said, all right, well, I'll go there. I'm like, what do you want to major in? I don't know. Telecommunications. That sounds like fun. I literally had no idea what telecommunications was. I just figured I'd major in something, that like, I knew it had to do with the radio and TV. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll give that a try. I'm pretty handsome. If I could be on
absolutely
right side of the camera. So anyway, and I took like a couple classes, and I hated it. I didn't really like it. I got a scholarship for singing when I got to Kutztown, because I was either going to go for a scholarship in singing or swimming, and they weren't giving out swimming scholarships. And so I got that, and I had to be in a couple of ensembles to honor the scholarship. One of them was the marching band. And so I did marching band there. And the first week I got there, I'm carrying my case down the hall, and this guy comes up and he goes, "Hey, Slugger, what's going on?" And I said, "Oh, hey." And he said, "Hi, I'm Dr. Chose. What's your name?" I said, "I'm Dustin." And he said, "Is that a trumpet?" I said, "It is." He goes, "Do you want to take trumpet lessons?" And I said, "Are they free?" And he said, "Are you a student here?" "Uh-huh." "Then they're free." I was like, "Great." And so that really began my journey into, and this is a whole other conversation, Doug, just the beauty in a routine, and an approach to playing the trumpet, and really in life, that I just really was a dawning of a new philosophy for me, studying with Kevin Chose at the Kutztown. And so, I was scared at first because I really liked playing the trumpet. I was getting better at it, and I was always really admiring the guys that we grew up with in that band. And I was like, oh man, because I always remember them playing, and I'm like, oh, I got to go to sports. I can't see you guys play, or I can't be in this because I'm in sports. And I really wanted to do that. It looked like a lot of fun. And so we're in a lesson one day with Kevin, and he said, he goes, "What are you doing here in Kutztown?" And it was like a conversation. And I said, "I don't really know what I want to do." He goes, "Well, look, you're walking across Main Street. You get hit by one of those Bieber buses. You're right about to meet St. Peter." He's like, what would you say you wanted to do different? And I said, "Be a musician." He's like, and it just fell out of my mouth.
Uh-huh.
And so that's what I did for 5 years. I practiced, my God, like 6 hours, 8 hours a day to get to that, because I had no musical talent. I don't believe in natural talent.
Okay.
So it was a thing that I had to develop. And so I did that, and that was my plan. And I gave lessons, trumpet lessons to students, and I kind of like teaching and stuff like that. And it just kind of was a natural flow. Kutztown got an accreditation for a music ed program after my 5 year stint. So I was here for 7 years. Um, and I don't know, I like being in a classroom. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I really enjoy conducting a band. I really like coaching jazz. That's probably my passion. And I just really fell in love with that. I mean, so that's in a really short, nutshell,
Sure.
how
So
I got there.
you've been how many years have you been teaching now?
16 years.
So 16 years as a high school music teacher. So here are some follow-up questions in regards to that career. As
Okay.
many of you know, I've been teaching high school for 19 years now, but I don't teach music. And every department's different, and every class has a different feel and all that. So let me ask you this question first.
Okay.
In your mind, what makes your job difficult?
Uh, that's a great question. Okay. I think the biggest thing I struggle with my job is to have to choose between my students and my family. That's the
Mm.
hardest. That's the hardest part about my job.
Yeah, I think the
Um,
vast majority of people have no idea the schedule that a
y-
music teacher in particular, and especially one that's like head of bands, what
yeah,
they have to go through as far as time commitments.
yeah,
Um,
and don't get me wrong. I'm compensated for my time there, um, very well. But there's no monetary amount that you can put on missing time with your
no,
family.
absolutely,
And
yeah.
and now that I'm sharing my kids with my ex-wife, that really becomes kind of like a hot topic for me. And then, with my new wife and her kids and stuff. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, so it's no, I mean, the fall, I'm Friday nights, football games. I'm rehearsing with the group once a week in the evenings, and that's more time away. I used to have a commute. It's going to be a little better now that I moved into town. But every morning, 7:15, I'm coaching the middle school jazz ensemble. And the fall's not even the busy time. I mean, right after
Yeah,
we finish our football season, we do our musical in the fall. So I do the pit for that. And then our spring, we have a really elite jazz ensemble here, and we do festivals like every
sure.
single weekend. And so
That's awesome.
that's it's really hard. It's really hard to um, concentrate on what I'm doing when I'm away from my kids and not feel guilty. So that's
All right.
probably the hardest part.
Okay.
So,
How do you motivate your students to practice?
oh
Now,
my,
so I grew up as a musician. I grew up playing instruments, and I'll admit freely that I did not practice anywhere near what I should have. And because of
yeah,
it, my skills never got to where I always hoped they would get to. I mean, it's the age old story. So now you're the teacher, and you having experienced that as a student yourself, how do you motivate, particularly the kids that we're teaching today? Because kids are
right,
kids, and kids will always be kids, but every generation is a little different. So
right.
I'm going to throw that at you. What do you do to motivate kids to practice, and or just not just necessarily practice, but to motivate them to become a better musician?
Well, I mean, there is not one answer for that. There's not
Sure.
one way to do that, because, as you know, probably as a teacher yourself, like, one philosophy and method is not going to work for John, that works for Sam, that
Right.
works for Susie, and all that other stuff. So I really try to lead by example. So I practice. I still practice. I try to get in at least an hour to 2 hours a day. And so my students hear me practice, and I think that they, when they see that I still do that, that's a motivator. Another
Oh, I
motivator is,
agree. Yeah.
yeah, another motivator is I try to bring in as many clinicians as possible for them to talk to. I remember the time Kevin, my professor at Kutztown, he brought in this trumpet player, and we were playing through this trumpet method book, and I was just like, wow, that's really cool. Like the way that you're playing that. And then so I started playing like that. And I was in a lesson then with Kevin, and he's like, why are you playing it like that? And he said, well, that's the way the guy came in. He was playing it like that too. And he's just like, I play like that all the time. So it's like one of those, like, you somebody could say something to you, you could say something 1,000 times, but when someone else says it, it's like for
Sure.
whatever reason that clicks. So I do
Absolutely.
that. I play recordings for them all the time. I really have to do, especially jazz ensemble, I have to do a lot of research to get them motivated to listen to a song. And it's almost like that's a great group. I really push them and they respond to it.
Yeah,
So
that's I didn't even think of asking this question, but now that you mentioned, because I know you're so
yeah,
involved with jazz.
yeah,
Jazz isn't the type of music that the average 15, 16-year-old kid is going to gravitate to. How
no.
have you been able to, and I know
Oh,
your ensembles are are great. How is there an
yeah.
answer? Like, how have you hooked these kids into not only appreciating jazz, but also wanting to do it?
Well, I can't take full credit for that. So we are a very rare school that has an elementary jazz ensemble.
Well,
So
that's
I have to
awesome.
yeah, so I have to give credit to Kathy Muller. She's our elementary band director. She's incredible. She's gets them wanting to play this music. And then the guy who was at the middle school before me, Carl Zeppelin, there is not a director on the planet that has invented this atmosphere that he has. So I don't know a school I don't know a school anywhere that has their middle school practice every day at 7:15, 7:15 to 7:50. That has been going on at Kutztown for like the last 20 years.
Yeah,
And
that's insane. That
that's
is really
right.
insane.
Right. So like just that so I inherited that culture. And then when I first started and he was still here, those kids would come up to me. By the time they got to ninth grade, it was just like, oh my God, I don't have to worry about notes and rhythms anymore. We can talk about concepts and I can play them anything. So I have some incredible musicians. And then I try to open up as much opportunity for them as possible. I just had a girl email me. She's a senior, and she was talking about how upset she was that she took for
Yeah.
granted, not being. She's a vibes player for our jazz ensemble, and she was just at our district jazz band festival, and and she said that it kind of just clicked for her there. And she was like, and like, I remember having that moment as a musician where you're just like, because you're thinking like, I don't sound like these jazz musicians that I listen to all the time. What is going on? And
Yeah.
she, for whatever reason, this festival, it clicked for her. And it was just awesome as a teacher to hear her say that. So um, and I take them to festivals. I bring in clinicians. I take them to go see as many musicians as I can. And yeah, that's how I do it.
Yeah,
It's the
it's
music that I love, so it's really easy
right.
for me to show them that, yeah.
Yeah, and you can't underscore how important it was for you to be able to walk into an established culture. That is,
Mhm.
I mean, that's you can't put a price on that.
No,
I
you
didn't
can't no.
I didn't have the luxury of that. I had to work hard to build a culture like that. I have it there now, but I know how hard it is to try and start at zero
I
and
had a
bring
job
something up.
yeah, I had a job like that before this, and that was exhausting.
Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah,
absolutely exhausting. You're right.
yeah.
All right. That's enough shop talk in regards to teaching. Let me
Okay,
let me move the direction this way. I
alright.
know you are a big runner. Um, so free time running. I want to ask this question.
Okay.
Why do you enjoy running?
Um, I
And I'll
I,
tell you
uh
why I ask this question because
yeah,
I think out of all the pursuits of man, running, particularly like long distance running, to me makes the least amount of sense. And I hate it. I I tried. I tried in college. I had friends that were in the cross country team. Not that I was going to try out for the team or anything, but they were
yeah,
always like, "Oh, why don't you come run with us? It'll be good
right.
for you, you know." And I tried it. I gave it a shot, but
Yeah.
there was nothing about it, absolutely nothing about it that I enjoyed. So, and I know you are an avid runner. So, why? What is it about it? Why do you enjoy it?
Uh, so I m I have a flaw, if you can believe it. Um and that flaw is, like, if I have a spark to want to do something, um, Like, I don't, like, just stick my toes in the water and
Uh-huh.
then, like, stick my foot in and then, like, go up to my waist, and, like, I jump right in and, like, damn the consequences. Like, I
Right.
don't care about, like, so I just jump in. And so running was one of those things, and the reason why was because, when I got out of college and I started teaching, I mean, I'm not a very tall man, I'm 5'7". I was up to 215, which is too big. And
Yeah.
I remember looking in the mirror going, I have got to do something about this. Like, I'm like, I hate the way I look.
Uh-huh.
And so I tried this program, Body for Life. And it's not a running program at all. It's like a 6-day thing and a diet thing and everything else. And I ended up losing. I was down from 215 to 172 after like 12 weeks. And it was a lot of muscle building too. And so I remember looking at myself going like, yeah, all right. And then so in the gym I went to, there was a sign up for a 5K. So I signed up thinking like, oh, I'm in great shape. Um, I ran like a mile of a 5K is 3.1 miles for those of you who don't know. I ran the first mile and it was just like I was dying. There were 12-year-olds passing me. And I was like, what is going on? I'm in this great shape. And then it just so happened another mutual friend of ours, Brad Weidenhammer, was saying he lives down in Virginia, and he said, "Hey, they do this half marathon in Virginia." And I'm like, "How many miles is that?" He's like, 13. And I'm like, "Whoa." He's like, "But there's a thing, like there's a schedule, and you just follow the schedule." And so it was one of those things where it's just like, okay, I want to do this because I feel like I should be able to run. If I'm in this good a shape, I should be able to run whatever I want. So again, my flaw being to just jump right in. My goal every time I ran for a long time was how fast can I get through this run? Like every single time I run, I have to do better than the time before that.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
it was an obsession. And it got to the point where I was injured almost all the time because it was just like, well, if I ran that mile in 8 minutes today, the first mile, I have to run it in 7:55 tomorrow, and then I have to run it in 7:50, and you just can't do that. And so for a while there, Doug, I was actually hating running because I was
Yeah.
always in pain. And then I read this book, and then I ran a marathon. I ran a bunch of half marathons just to like, I don't know. I just wanted to destroy myself, I guess, or something. So, and then after a while, I was actually hating running, but I would really like the results. Like it was a good way to keep the weight off. And I read this book by a guy named Stu Middleman called Slow Burn, and he talks about running ultra marathons, and how like you don't run to you don't run to like you shouldn't run to do that to like just lose weight. You should run to just be outside. Like don't try to not like peg yourself down to a pace. Don't try to say, "Well, I'm going to run like this amount of time." Like, if you want to do mileage and stuff, that's fine, but like your goal should just be like, "I'm going to enjoy being outside." Like your goal should be to smile when you cross the finish line, not like I have to get this time. And so there was a lot of eye opening in that. And so now when I run, I don't run to be like, oh, I need to lose weight. Like I run just because I love to be outside. Like
Okay.
I love it. And I get to think about things without being interrupted by work and
Right.
kids and like,
Right.
responsibilities. It's like, look, there's nothing here right now except me and the road. Like I'm too far from home to worry about it. Like I have to just be in my head
Yeah.
by myself. And so that's why I love it so much because it's like my time of zen, It's like,
Yeah.
and I don't have to kill myself to get there. Like I just run at my own pace, and sometimes I walk a little bit, and sometimes I run, and I'm not really worried about it. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
think that's the beauty of humans is that each of us has that place to go where we can release. For some of us, it's running, and then for others, it's could be cooking or
sure,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
great.
We're
I just I
genetically we are genetically made up to run though long distances.
yeah, okay,
Uh,
whatever.
I saw a really good documentary on that. Yeah,
Well, yeah. Anyway, uh,
yeah,
okay, all right. We're gonna move towards the end here, but before I get to the final thing I want to talk to you guys to talk to you about, I'm
right.
gonna ask you these questions.
Okay.
So, I've kind of followed this. I set up a format in my mind to have these interviews where I talk a little bit about family. We did
Uh-huh.
that. Talk about occupation. What do you do? We talked about that. We talked about recreation. You like to run, and
Yep.
now I come to the part where everybody has a message. You might not know it, but everybody does. And I'm going to
Oh,
see if I can find out what yours is. So I'm going to ask you this question first.
okay.
Being an educator, a husband, and a father, which role is the easiest for you and which is the hardest?
Oh man. God, that's a great question, Doug. Man. Easiest is father. I mean, like they're a priority. So like that's easy. You know what I mean?
But
Like
do you
it's
really
not.
find being a father easy? Like it
I,
naturally comes to you, do you think? Or
well, I mean, like to be able to rationalize what you do in a moment of either being a father or being something else, you always say, "Well, I got to be a father here. Like I have
right.
to be a dad." And I'm not saying it's always the right answer that you give them, um, but
Yeah.
like it's definitely like the easiest as far as like if you're going to put a priorities thing up there, like that's
Hmm.
got to be number one.
Okay.
Um, uh, I would say it's not hard to be a husband. It's just that you have to you I will never take for granted the relationship I have with my wife ever. And so sometimes that takes a lot of reorganizing your priorities,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and it takes a lot, and it takes a lot of like parking your pride. It takes a lot of like keeping your ego in check and stuff
Hmm.
like that. And so
Yeah.
that's really sometimes that's not easy. That a lot of times that's not easy.
You're right.
And,
Yeah, I
and,
agree.
and so I would say that's the hardest. The job, I mean, like I show up and I do my job. Like I've been doing it now for a while now that I know like the formula of it and stuff like that. It's we talked about the guilt a little bit before, but yeah, no, that's I would say that being a dad is the easiest as far as the priority thing. Like you can, you just I mean, I don't think you want to mess them up or like I think we all fear that, but at the same time, it's like the priorities thing is like that they're number one, and then yeah, I would have to say being a husband is something I'm always working on because I think I'm always working on myself and
Right.
doing that better. So
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Okay. And what do you hope to pass on to either your students or your children?
Huh. I tell my students all the time to be curious.
That's good.
I tell them constantly like to try to find answers and be interested in things that you don't know and do the proper research rather than because every time I teach a class, especially to general kids like non-band kids, but even band kids do this too. I guess I can't stereotype, but you know, I'll play them a piece of music and I'll say, and it'll be classical music, and right away it's like, do you guys like that? No. Why? I don't know. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, did you know, if I tell you that this was like so I'll play them something like Tchaikovsky's Sixth Symphony, which is basically like a suicide note,
Hmm.
and I kind of go into the story of that, and they're kind of at that point they're interested a little bit because you
Yeah.
tell them a little bit about the story, and then it's just like see, I've just shown you the tip of the iceberg of that. Like, don't you kind of want to know more about this now because of what you didn't know anything about it, and there's your dislike, you didn't understand it. So I think a lot of times I really try to hit home with them, like, be curious, like always try to find answers for things that you don't know instead of just being okay with I don't know,
Right.
and I don't like it because I don't know it.
Right.
Um, my kids, I just want them to be nice people.
Oh,
I
great.
really like
Yeah.
it's a lot of times it's like that, do one to others as you want done to yourself. I mean, like
Right. Right.
I do that with my students, like be nice people to each other. Like, that is so rare
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
And so
I agree.
I think those two things are probably my biggest messages to my students and my kids. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Those are
Yeah.
great answers.
Yeah.
All right, my goal, and I'm going to borrow this idea from Inside the Actor's Studio. If you're familiar with that show, at the very end of every episode, James Lipton
Yeah.
would have these like rapid fire questions where you're not really supposed to think about it. You're supposed to just answer the questions. Now, I'm not going to use his questions, but I stole this idea of doing that. So I
Okay.
have 10 questions,
All
and
right.
these aren't deep thinking or anything. I just
I
want
go I hope I get 100.
I hope so too. I'm going to ask the question. Don't think too much. Just answer them. All right, here we
Mm,
go.
mhm.
Question number 1. What's your morning drink of choice?
Coffee.
How
That's
do you
easy.
take it?
Black. I got
Okay,
made fun of by my dad one time for not drinking it black, and so now I always drink it black.
there you go. Question number 2. This one's going to be hard for you, I think.
Okay.
Who is your go-to musical artist or group?
Oh, it's not that hard.
Oh, okay.
I always go back to George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic. I
Oh,
think they're one of my favorite groups. My
yeah.
God. Yeah.
They are great. They
Yeah.
are great. Okay. Question number 3. What movie can you watch over and over again and never get old?
Probably Army of Darkness, the third series of the Evil Dead trilogy. Kyle and I
I
used
haven't.
to watch that show all the time.
Okay.
Oh, if you haven't seen it, oh, no. I
No,
mean,
no.
the guy has a chainsaw for an arm. I mean, like, it's absolutely, and there's such great one-liners in that. No, I think that one. I don't think Jen's ever seen it, and I'm pretty sure she'd leave me if I ever made her watch it. But that's a movie I could watch all the time. Yeah.
Okay. Number 4. What's the last thing you read?
Zen in the Art of Motorcycle
Oh,
Mayhem.
oh my.
Yeah.
And okay. All right.
Yeah.
I have to stop now. So
Okay.
you're not a motorcyclist. I am.
No. Right.
But I
Yes.
have met so many people that have
Yeah.
nothing, no interest in motorcycling at all that
Right.
read that book. Did you
Yeah.
like it?
It is, you have to read it, Doug. It is a
No, I've read
huge.
it. I've read
Oh,
it
you did? Oh, yeah,
more
I
than
mean, like,
once. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's incredible, and the thing is I read it when I was 18, and I was like, "I don't what is this book?"
Right,
This
right,
is
right,
this
right.
is ri but now that I'm reading it at 40, I'm on the last part, by the way, that so I didn't
Okay.
I'm in the process of reading, like, there's just the whole quality comparison and stuff like that, and just it's a fascinating book,
Oh, it
and
really is.
you read these things now as an older adult, and you just go, "Oh my god, like, this is so much better now that I'm 40 and not a
I
dumb
find that
kid."
I
Like,
find
yeah,
that
so
too. There for
right,
the
yeah,
longest time, I was really pushing myself to just constantly keep reading stuff I've never read. And then at one point, I pulled a book off
yeah,
my bookshelf that I'd read like in high school or something like that, and it read
yeah.
completely differently as an adult.
It's so
Um,
funny, right? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I
All right.
will say that, the last book I read that was just absolutely stunning was, Beyond Over the Edge or Beyond the Edge. It was a book about Magellan and his journey.
Oh, okay.
Uh, oh my god, that was incredible, and I really
Yeah.
wanna read about, Teddy Roosevelt. There's a series of 3 big books out about
Hmm.
him, and I wanna that's
Oh,
my next reading,
good.
so yeah. Yeah,
All right. Question number 5. What's your favorite
alright.
pizza topping?
Pepperoni, man, simple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Number
Oh, and hot
6.
sauce.
Oh, and hot sauce on top?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Are
yeah.
you one to, what's your take then on dipping with ranch when you're eating pizza?
I don't mean, like, only the crust. I'm not really
Right,
a big
right, right,
ranch
right.
guy. If I'm gonna do
Okay.
anything, it's crust, but yeah, a hot sauce all day for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Laying on the beach or going for a hike?
Beach.
Yeah, I knew that answer.
Oh, man, that was a good one.
Yeah. All right. Number 7. You invited me over for dinner. What are you cooking me?
What am I cooking? You? Oh my
Yeah.
god. For you, I'll
Well, it doesn't
probably
matter me,
do
but someone comes over to your house and I'm gonna cook them dinner. What are you gonna cook?
probably steak. I can grill a good steak if either it's a fillet or a ribeye. I could do
Okay.
that. Probably some nice rice with
Ooh,
some
okay.
butter and salt,
Okay.
because those two things taste incredible. And then I make these really good garlic tomatoes.
Ooh,
So I'll do that too. And
sounds good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Question number 8. What is a dream vacation destination?
Oh, I want to go to Europe. I mean, I would love to go to Germany. I'd love to go to Ireland. Jen took a trip when she was just right out of high school. They did that kind of tour thing where they went to Italy and Ireland and all that other stuff, and I would just love to do that. And I think that would be really fun. So
I know a guy that could probably help you out there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice guy here. Knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, sometimes. All right, question number 9. What
All
is
right.
something you are afraid of?
Uh, I guess spiders is the first thing that comes to mind. I freaking
Oh,
hate them, man.
yeah.
Yeah, no, like I hate them
Now,
so much. And like
is it to the point where you scream when you see one, or
I don't scream, but like I just like, and this is so irrational. Like I want to just kill them when I
uh-huh.
see one. Like, because I'm like going, look, if I let that thing go, I know it eats bugs. I know it's doing its greater good. But if
Yeah.
I let that thing go, that might be crawling on me in the
Yeah.
middle of the night. and I cannot handle that. I can't handle that. Yeah, spiders. Hate them.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sorry out there, everyone. Yeah, don't like them.
All right, last question.
All right.
What job other than your current one would you love to have?
Uh, I mean, I would love to be a musician, like, just play music. That would be
Okay.
great. Um, other than that, I really do like to be outside. I really like landscaping. That is fun for me. I just like digging and, using my hands and stuff like that. But,
Mhm.
um, now that I'm a teacher, it's really hard for me to maintain any kind of like a professional musician job.
Sure.
So I would say that that's probably what I would love to do the most.
Well, that'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Well, Dustin, this has been a great conversation.
oh, I hope so.
I hope you enjoyed your time on the front porch, and I thank everyone for listening. If you want to learn more about Dustin, you'll have to get a hold of Dustin yourself.
Oh, you can give him my
Which,
email. That's fine. Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
appreciate you. You're the first name that came to my mind when I came up with this idea for this podcast, because I know that I've had wonderful conversations with you over the years that we've known each other, and I figured this is a perfect spot to have another conversation with you.
Well, I hope
So,
I did not disappoint.
oh, not at all. Great answers. So thanks a lot, Dustin, and we'll find out who's next in the future on Doug's Front Porch.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.